Scanning for audio.
Welcome, once again, to the Tin Dog Podcast, number 122, again continuing and catching up with Matt Smith's new season, Smith 1.2, The Beast Below.
We should never have come here.
The darkness at the heart of this nation. Help us, Doctor.
The smiling fellas in the booze, they're everywhere.
You're our only hope.
This isn't a trick, this is for real. You've got to find the Doctor and get him back to the TARDIS. Please get the Doctor off this ship.
Doctor Who, the journey continues, tonight at 6:15 on BBC One.
Shorter than last week, and fitting in much better with the standard 42-minute run, this story fits in with the trilogy set up in the 2005 season, where you've got a story set in the present day, one set in the future, and then one set in the past. So this is story number 2, the one set in the future, The Beast Below. Now, this will contain spoilers, so please go away and enjoy the episode, then come back and hear me ramble and rant, just like it seems every other podcaster. Is it right for all of us to be covering the same thing? You must get bored of listening to the same subjects covered by a variety of different people. Email me your thoughts, tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk, on the subject of which I have a Tin Dog Podcast mug. Now, this is probably not important to anyone except, well, me. But I'm just wondering, many other podcasts have their own little stores that sell, well, promotional items. T-shirts, mugs, the usual paraphernalia. Would any of you be interested in a Tin Dog Podcast shirt, or a mug, or anything along those lines? If you would, I'll set up one of the shops. If not, it's just a silly idea, and we'll leave it there. Again, email me. But enough nonsense. Let's talk about Doctor Who. I had trouble watching this story, not because of narrative, not because of acting, but because of the sound quality. I actually thought that my child had been fiddling with the sound settings on the TV. But no, other TVs in the house still played the same quality. It sounded the same in every room. It was, in fact, the broadcast itself. Now, I've never had a huge issue with Murray Gold's volume, but here, the sound mix was bad. I had to text a few of my friends to find out if their sound quality was off as well. My friend Chris suggested that, in fact, what was happening was it was because they were inside a large spaceship and the sound was echoing around. Actually, that's not as far-fetched as you would think, but I'm sure he was being sarcastic. So I've sat down and watched it again concentrating on trying to hear what was actually being said. I am having a little trouble making out completely what Amy's talking about, but perhaps I just need to get my ear in. You can't talk about the story without giving away spoilers. Well, you can, in so much as to say, it's very good, I'm very happy with everyone's performance, it's great, move on. But if you want to talk about, well, the story itself, I'm sorry, but it's spoiler city. For a lot of people, this story is a collection, a list of references. There's Star Wars, well, Empire Strikes Back, Cave, Large Whale, Pinocchio, Large Whale, Thing flying through space with something on its back, well, the world on its back, Terry Pratchett's A Twin, except of course that's taken from Indian legend, so in fact it's not even a Pratchett reference, it's an American myths legend, and so on and so on. The one thing that's not been mentioned by anyone is the thing that for me was the most obvious. This story is a reworking of Creature from the Pit. Bear with me. Creature from the Pit comes out on DVD next month now, very early. And the basic story for Creature from the Pit is there's a monster below influencing the story. People are frightened of it, but the monster itself is actually there to help people, and in the end will sacrifice itself to save everyone, despite the fact that it's been mistreated for many years. Similarly, the same storyline was used in Encounter at Farpoint, in the very first story of Star Trek Next Generation. But that's not what this is about. This is about reviewing this story of Doctor Who. Doctor Who's always been, well, let's call it a reference whore, borrowing aspects from other stories and reworking them in their own inimitable way to provide new and exciting moral tales. That's what it uses sci-fi for. It lets us re-examine ourselves Yes, this episode is as infinitely quotable as the last one. The Doctor using his Fourth Doctor-esque lines, "No one human gets to talk to me today," and a host of others, channeling the Second Doctors and so forth, just to make his performance great. I'm sorry I've rambled a little bit. Let's get back to the subject. Yes, Doctor Who uses other stories. That's not a problem. It's hardly a crime. It's a crime it's been committing for a very, very long time. Here we have a very nice story, very well structured, and something I'm sure I'll watch again, using aspects from other tales. But yes, as soon as you found out there was a secret, the secret that people were aware of, but they're all in denial about, you almost had the spinning random "what could the secret be" disc of destiny clicking away in the background. You see, as well as Creature from the Pit, you had other references like Meat, the Torchwood story. I'm sorry, I've rambled. I've not kept this as accurate or as on target as normal. Perhaps it's because I'm recording this show at 5 a.m. You see, if you get enough references to other things, it becomes an entity in itself. Another one's just occurred to me, Ark in Space, but that's more when the story's set, to place it firmly in the Doctor Who universe, and I'm sure that's more than 1,000 years in the future, giving Amy's date of birth slightly off. Or perhaps the computer just didn't quite cope with what was going on. Yes, you could complain about things like the assistant or companion always being the one who solves the problems, but for me, this was more like the long game, because Amy proved herself to be a companion wanting, because she didn't just say complain straight away. No, she wanted to forget, because she's human, because she's a grown-up, which the Doctor is desperately trying to knock out of her. Yes, there's so many references to other sci-fi shows that we really just have to let them go. Let them go, move on and accept this story for what it is. It's a fairy story, and fairy stories are the ultimate in magpie storytelling, taking aspects from everything that's gone before and presenting us with something new. And that's what we've got here. Something new and something reasonably wonderful. A sort of English Blade Runner. It's got decay, but it's got Union flags everywhere. The idea of all of the buildings in space is almost, yes, you see, you can't help but see references to other things. It's Mortal Engines. It's so many other things. It's Dark City, the strange city with a secret underneath it. Yeah, all of these things are acceptable. We can live with it, because we have its own moral tale. It is its own creature. I'm sorry if I've rambled more than usual. Suffice to say that this is a great story, greatly acted, and I'm sure we're going to get much better stuff even later on. Yes, the big smiley crack at the end was annoying, but hey, I can live with that. And so before I leave, here's a couple of Whostrologies for people I'm sure you've heard of at Staggering Stories. And now Whostrology reading for Jean. Born on the 1st of March 1964. You were born in the time of the First Doctor. You were born during Marco Polo, and on the anniversary of the broadcast of The Seeds of Death, Episode 6, Black Orchid, Episode 1, Enlightenment, Episode 1, and Planet of Fire, Episode 3. Your Whostrology. Beware a man with a beard. A rudimentary knowledge of English poets may be more trouble than it's worth. A trip up north may have borne fruit or nut, but you should still be aware of a second-hand car dealer throwing stones in a glass house. An unexpected invite to a party could end in tears, and an early bath. While considering a cruise, take time to check out the ship. Returning home could cause more trouble than you thought.
8 out of 10 listeners who expressed a preference say they prefer the Tin Dog podcast.
We certainly do over here at Staggering Stories.
.net.
.net.
And now Whostrology for Karen Dunn, the 2nd of April, 1969. You were born in the time of the Second Doctor. Stories shown on your birthday. You were born during the Space Pirates and on the anniversary of the broadcast of The Celestial Toymaker, Episode 1, Talons of Weng-Chian, Episode 6, and The End of the World. Your Whostrology. People have no choice but to listen to you. Carry spare air. You'll never know when you need it. Sometimes it's okay to go for style over substance, but watch out for obviously named people. Sometimes your friends can see right through you, and pushing random buttons may not be the solution to your problem when a mandarin is more than an orange. Beware a scientific dead end and large lasers. Beauty must always be more than skin deep, while talking to trees isn't as crazy as you may think. Remember to call home and make sure you put the lottery on. And as always, I think that says more than you can imagine. And with that, I'll fade away. Oh, and here's the trailer for next week's story, Victory of the Daleks.
Winston Churchill.
Doctor, is it you?
Cabinet War Rooms, right?
Yep. I have something to show you. Our new secret weapon.
This is one of my iron sights.
You're what? I am your soldier.
He didn't invent them. They're aliens.
They will win me the war.
They're up to something, but what is it? What are they after? I've defeated you time and time again. I saved the whole of reality for you.
I am the Doctor.
And you are the Daleks.
Behold the restoration of the Daleks.
And I'm sure the TDP will be back on target doing one show a week from now on. So until then, be seeing you. You have been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Contact us at tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk.